Hello, I am Katina Horton, the Love and Freedom Toxic Relationship Recovery Coach. And today's Bible teaching is entitled 7 Reasons Why You Keep Getting Bit by the Viper Spirit. And before I get into the Bible teaching, I just want to remind you that we do what? We wear a tie so that we can make an impact. That means we're analyzing, troubleshooting, implementing, right? Empowering and impacting the women in our homes, communities, and around the world. And the quickest and easiest way for you to be able to do that is to do what? To hit that like button and to share the message. And now, without further ado, I'm going to get right on into the Bible teaching, right? When it comes to the viper spirit, right? That spirit is a spirit of combativeness, of antagonism slash judgmentalism, legalism, toxic jealousy, envy, comparison, anger, malice, murder, lack, hatred, and one upping that feeds off of emotional immaturity. Okay. So we got all of those spirits that's involved in viper spirit, and those spirits are feeding off of emotional immaturity. And so then what happens is after you getting bit, you call your friends up, giving them the whole rundown. Can you believe what happened to me, girl? And then they're like, duh, how many times have you called me with this same story, right? As if it never happened before, right? Like you know, you don't have a clue. And they're tired of hearing it. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, why do I keep getting bit by the viper spirit, right? And what you want to think about when you're asking yourself this question, you know that a toddler is coming along, and the way that he feels in control and he can get attention and get his frustrations out is to bite people. But then every time you see the toddler coming along, you're surprised that he's bit you. He or she has bitten you, right? Something is wrong with that. So what we're going to do is kind of dissect why that is the case, right? So the number one reason that you keep getting bit is because the viper spirit has a one-upping spirit. It's a seductive, provoking spirit, right? It wants power at all costs. And it plagues you inside of that one-upping spirit. There's a spirit of competition. There's a spirit of envy. There's a spirit of anger. There's a spirit of unworthiness. And there's a spirit of toxic jealousy. And in James 3:16, it says what? For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work, right? So that means that once you've got that spirit of envy inside of you and it goes unchecked, you're prone to commit murder. Every evil work means what? Murder is included, right? You can commit murder emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, intellectually, relationally, socially, in all of those areas. You are prone to commit murder, right? When you are infected with the viper spirit and or tangling with someone who has the viper spirit, they have the capability of doing that because envy is involved, right? So you can even ask Leah and Rachel, right? We can't go out there and ask them ourselves, but we can look in scripture where it gives us proof of what happens when that one-upping spirit is in control, right? It says, then Rachel said, I have had a great struggle with my sister and I have won. So she named him Naphtali. And that's from Genesis 30:8. And so how would you like it? Think about it. If your mother named you after all of her trauma and drama and chaos and confusion and undealt with brokenness and insecurities, and she basically named you Struggle. Think about that, putting your name Struggle and the last name Davis, Struggle Davis, and all other kids are like, oh wow. What happened to your mother? What was going on while she was pregnant with you that she named you that, right? And so then when it comes to the one-upping spirit, it's a spirit that deals with lack. It's a spirit of lack as well. So it has a seed of envy, but it's based off of the spirit of lack. And some of those things that's involved in that lack would be what? lack of knowledge, lack of self-control, lack of understanding, lack of privilege. And there are a few others, but those are just a few I wanted to mention, right? So when a person is infected with the viper spirit, they purposely argue with people so they can power up, be superior to, greater than, and one up the other individual, right? And so when you get to arguing with other people with that viper spirit over people, places, things, and ideas that we don't even own, that becomes problematic, right? In Hosea 4:6, it says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children, right? And so you think about it, when it's based upon lack, and you're using people, places, things, and ideas that you don't even own, that the Lord has given you to be a steward over, to compete with other people with, it's not a good thing, right? It's showing that we don't have lack of knowledge, right? We don't have lack of knowledge. And then the individual with the viper spirit doesn't have the has lack of knowledge, right? They don't have knowledge either, because they are the ones that started the one-upping. But then because you got provoked by that spirit and we've joined in with them, that's showing lack of knowledge on our part, right? And so the number 2 reason why you keep getting bit by the viper spirit is that you feel you need to prove something. Our need to prove something is based upon fear, right? And in the scriptures, it tells us that the fear of man ensnares our soul, right? It's a snare for our soul. That fear is linked to mankind in general. And then you feel, okay, if I don't prove that I know more than they do, right? If I don't prove that my answer is the right answer, right? If I don't prove that I'm right and they're wrong, okay, and then other people going to look at me as if I'm not enough, and they're not going to think I'm qualified, and they're not going to accept me in this club or in this group. But at what cost, right? The cost of your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit, right? You got to prove you know more than they do. But why is it important that they know that? You have to ask yourself that question. God knows, he gave us the knowledge, right? You got to prove that you're right and they're wrong, right? And you back at square one, right? You trying to prove you're right and they're wrong. You back at square one in the trauma piled up and knots in your body. You won the argument, but then at what cost? Number 3, the third reason why you keep getting bit by the viper spirit is that you want to convince them that what you are doing, right? What they are doing, rather, is wrong, right? But they know what they're doing is wrong. They already know that. They wouldn't be invalidating you, minimizing you, gaslighting you, doing a DARVO on you, which stands for what? Denial. Is that right? When you do a DARVO on somebody, you deny, right? So it's denial, attack, and reverse victim and offender, right? And then also they wouldn't be baiting you, which is part of that combative, antagonistic spirit, right? All of these are defense mechanisms that have been put in place for a while, and they're going to keep giving you a toxic bath, right? You're winning. You think you're winning, but at what cost? You're trying to win. You're trying to win, rather, but at what cost? You're trying to prove that you are right, right? And then the 4th reason why you keep getting bit by the viper spirit, you think you can fix them. It takes a lot of effort just for us to fix ourselves, let alone thinking that we have the magic formula to fix somebody else, right? We think we can fix somebody else, but then wanting to be fixed means we have to look at our family's love story garden, right? You got to go back to move forward. We can't just move forward without going back and visiting that family's love story garden. That's the worst nightmare for somebody infected with the viper spirit, right? They've got belief systems and limited worldviews / strongholds that they've had locked in place for years, thinking that one conversation is going to change this individual. Is not even being realistic. This person has been stirring up trouble and locked and loaded with defense mechanisms for years. And you think just trying to prove to them that what they are doing, their behavior is wrong, is going to make them have a come to Jesus moment. It's not. I'm sorry to tell you, but it's not. Number 5, the 5th reason why you keep getting bit by the viper spirit. You want to win. There's a competitive streak in you. And this person infected with the viper spirit is pulling that part of you out, pulling that part of you to win at all costs. He's pulling that out of you, he or she. Remember Samson? His love of riddles and wanting to win at all costs became his downfall, right? And so he had to pay the price. The price was 30 changes of garment. Eventually, his wife and his father-in-law's life as well, right? He didn't deal with his anger problem. He went and started burning up fields. After he pieced out, he abandoned his wife, right? As a trauma response. He went into flight/escapism mode, abandoned his wife, right? After not winning. Then in turn, what happened, he was so angry, but he went on and took a kid goat, went back to try to visit his wife, right? Found out his father-in-law had given her to his companion. He snapped and went and burnt up all these fields. So then once it was burnt up, the Philistines are like, wait a minute, who did this? And then some of them say, well, this was Samson doing. His father-in-law gave his wife to his friend. That's why he did it. So what did they do? Go burn up his wife and father-in-law, right? So he had to pay a huge price, right? And it says in scripture in Judges 14:12-19, and Samson said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle unto you. If you can certainly declare it to me within the 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 changes of garments. But if you cannot declare to me, then ye shall give me 30 sheets and 30 changes of garments. And they said unto him, put forth thy riddle that we may hear it. And he said unto them, out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness, and they could not in 3 days expound the riddle, right? And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife, entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have you called us to take what we have? Is it not so? Samson's wife wept before him and said, thou dost but hate me and lovest me not. Thou hast put forth a riddle unto the children of my people and hast not told it to me. And he said unto her, behold, I've not told it to my father nor my mother. And shall I tell it thee? And she wept before him the 7 days while their feast lasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her, because she lay sore upon him. That means she just basically wore him down like kids wear you. That wasn't candy. That wasn't candy. That wasn't cookies. I want a Happy Meal. And they keep going on and on and on. And finally, you give it to him. That's what happened, right? She wore him down. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day before the sun went down, what is sweeter than honey and what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, if ye had not plowed with my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle. So now he's devaluing his wife, right? And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon and slew 30 men of them and took their spoil and gave change of garments unto them which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house, right? Number 6, the 6th reason why you keep getting bit by the viper spirit. You are self-gaslighting and going into magical thinking mode about their track record. You forgot how many times you were down on the floor crying after them doing a Darvo attack on you. Remember I said Darvo is what? Denial, attack, and reverse victim offender, right? Or you forgot about how out of character your behavior became after talking to them and having a session of toxic judgmental fusion. An individual who has the spirit of narcissism judges someone. They go into this antagonistic, combative mode with you about your behavior regarding the topic, right? That they're judging that individual about, right? That topic at hand. Unknowingly, you become fused to them in agreement until you are doing the same thing, judging that person, place, thing, or idea about another individual or yourself, right? You forget about every time you pointed out some of their brokenness and gave to them as an example, hoping that this would help them to empathize and understand this other individual situation and become more empathetic, right? That it turns into them attacking you. No, they didn't empathize. They just attacked you, right? Because it what? It scratched the surface of their childhood trauma and wounds, and they're not going there. And if not going there means attacking you and hurting you, then hey, it's on, right? Number 7, the 7th reason why you keep getting attacked by the viper spirit. You need the relationship. Whenever we at the point where we need someone else in order to survive, it's not a good thing. It's codependency, and you're feeding a love addiction. You're hoping that this person's affiliation with you will provide what it is that you need to make you feel good enough, right? It wasn't good for Moses, who developed his relationship with the people, and it's not good for you. In Exodus 18, it says the next day Moses sat down to judge the people. They stood around Moses from morning until evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw everything he was doing for them, he asked, "What is this you're doing for the people? Why are you alone sitting as judge while all the people stand around you from morning until evening?" Moses replied to his father-in-law, "Because the people came to me to inquire of God. Whenever they have a dispute, it comes to me, and I make a decision between one man and another. I teach them God's statutes and laws." Moses didn't see anything wrong with that, right? But his father-in-law came over there, and thank God that Moses was receptive to it. Somebody with a viper spirit is not receptive to any type of criticism, be it good or bad, right? What you're doing is not good, Moses' father-in-law said to him. You will certainly wear out both yourself and these people who are with you, because the task is too heavy for you. You can't do it alone. Now listen to me. I will give you some advice and God be with you. I guess he said you on your own. You be the one to represent the people before God and bring their cases to him. Instruct them about the statutes and laws. Teach them the way to live and what they must do. But you should select from all the people able men, God-fearing, trustworthy, and hating dishonest profit. Place them over the people as commanders of thousands and hundreds and fifties and tens. They should judge the people at all times. Then they can bring you every major case, but judge every minor case themselves. In this way, you will lighten your load and they will bear it with you. If you do this, and God so directs you, you will be able to endure. And also, all these people will be able to go home satisfied. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. You are enough. Reclaim your power, soul, and identity today. Reclaim the power, soul, and identity of your calling. Grab your keys to the kingdom and get your inheritance. Again, I am Katina Horton, the Love and Freedom Toxic Relationship Recovery Coach. God bless you. Until next time, be blessed.